Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me properly? Hey, Vayu. Hey, Tanya. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Emily, Ardell. Hi, hi, hi. Cassandra, Anna, Desiree. Amazing. Ooh, a lot. You guys are all on time. I'm so impressed. Hi, hi, hey. I'm just checking the chat box. Oh, here's Inez. Amazing. So as everyone comes in, I would love for you all to let me know where you're from and what your business is or what the business that you dream of having is. Let me know in the chat box. I'd love to know who's in here. Let's see. Alyssa's coming in. Hello, never mind. I don't know what your name is, but hi. Hi, Lisa. Making the world laugh. Oh my God, I love that. We're already laughing. It's a good sign. I'm just letting some people in. I would like to be a flexibility teacher. Amazing. That's so cool. Hi, Inez. Tanya, working on publishing a book of poetry. Ooh, that's so cool. Hi, Eliza. Touring your art. Ardell, an artist. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Ooh, so many interesting people in here and lots of new faces. Amazing. All right. So, Desiree, hello. Community builder, connector, and business consultant. I love it. Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I'm really excited for this masterclass. I think it's the first time that I'm sort of sharing all this stuff. Ooh, here, there's more people coming in. Sorry. It's kind of hard to let people in as you're talking, so I'm going to let people come in before I actually get started. But it should be good. So I'm just going to make sure everyone is muted. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to get started because it is 1:05 and there's kind of a lot to go over. I'm going to share my screen with all of you. Tanya, Toronto, writer, wanting to grow your Instagram and share life more authentically. Well, you're in the perfect place because that's what we're going to be talking about today. Lisa is secretly watching from work. Hello, Reiki Master. That's amazing. I love it. Thank you guys for being here. All right, so sharing my screen and let's get started. All right, do you guys see that? Give me a thumbs up if it's good. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, here we go. So welcome to the Glow and Grow IG Masterclass, where we're gonna talk about the importance of shining your light and being authentic in growing your Instagram. Welcome everybody. My name is Sabrina. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a digital entrepreneur, a feminine empowerment guide. I'm a conscious business coach for wild women on a mission. I'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a second, but my mission overall is really to help women release the shame around the feminine so they can step fully into their power, activate their full potential, and become the leaders of the new paradigm. So this world needs all the empowered women leading. So that's really what I'm here to help with. And the way that I do that is I really focus on helping people with my gifts, which is really around marketing and business, but anchored in the feminine. So it's really about balancing the masculine and feminine and bringing it together to create a strategy, to create a business model that really feels good in our bodies, that doesn't neglect the cyclical nature, the feminine, all those things. So, and when I talk about the masculine and feminine, I just want to be clear that I'm talking about energetics, and it's really basically like the yin and the yang. So it's not about gender. It's the yang, the masculine, is the directed, action-oriented will. It's like forward-moving, very linear. And the feminine is the yin. So it's the internal, it's the darkness, it's the chaos, it's the wild, expressive, cyclical nature. It's our intuition. So I really believe in balancing both, and they've both served me a lot in my business. I'm going to try to see where the chat box is. Did I just... Okay, you guys, do you see, you only see me now? Do you still see the, hang on. I'm gonna go back to that. All right, so I don't know how to see the chat box, so, oh, here it is. There we go. All right, in case you guys wanna jump in, I'll keep that at the bottom there. All right, perfect. So, and when I talk about the wild woman on a mission, and it's really this unconventional woman. It's the rebel with a cause, I like to call it. So I'd love to know if you guys identify with this archetype. So essentially what this woman is, it's a woman who does things her own way. So you're very connected to your intuition. You may have felt misunderstood or different in your life. Like you don't necessarily belong, and you may have had a dark past, like maybe some depression or anxiety or like addiction, things like that in your past, because you felt you didn't belong anywhere and you felt really different. You're not interested in the cookie cutter. You're not interested in formulas. You really want to do business in alignment with your feminine flow, and you feel like there's something wrong with the traditional business model that's very like linear and structured and only focuses on that aspect. You're not into surface. You really like to dive deep. You're probably not, you know, small talk is probably not your favorite. You're probably also enraged by misogyny, gender inequality, and you put a lot of value on creativity, self-expression, and you really do believe in the power of the feminine and wisdom of the body. And you're not afraid of sensuality and exploring that, and you're very connected to your body. So if any of you identify with that, I would love to hear a yes or in the chat box, because I already know some of you in here definitely identify with that. Yes, Anna, definitely. Desiree, yep. Tanya, 100%. Yes, Anna, Emily, totally, absolutely. Okay, so we have a lot of wild women in here, which basically means that I've been doing my job properly with my Instagram marketing and my marketing, because that's who I'm here to serve. That's my niche, and that's who I attracted in this group. So that's a really good sign. That's just an example of the type of business practices that I do. And I love it. And I love this type of women. I'm that type of woman. So it's really nice for us all to come together here. So I'm going to give you guys a little overview of what we'll be talking about today. Essentially, you're going to learn the importance of balancing the masculine and feminine in your business practices, in your Instagram strategy, so that you create something that feels really good in your body, that gets you excited to post. Because I think today, nowadays, there's a lot of us that have anxiety, especially when you decide you want to start a business and use Instagram for it. You kind of develop some sort of anxiety or stress around Instagram, and you kind of get confused. You don't know what to do. So the key here is to really get your energy on point and make it fun, because we're here to have fun. We decide to launch our own businesses. Like you're doing this, or you're stepping into your own business, or you have your own business because you want to do things differently and you want to enjoy yourself. You know, you're following your mission, so it should be fun. So that's basically what we'll be talking about today. We're going to start off with a little ritual. I'm going to share my entrepreneurial journey with you, how I actually was able to grow my Instagram without using traditional advertising, some strategies you can implement, some tips you can use right away to up-level your Instagram, and then we'll have a Q&A session, and then I'll talk a little bit about my coaching that I do. So to start off, we're gonna do a little ritual. I really like to do breath work and use the breath to get out of our heads and into our bodies. a lot of the time, this is a ritual that I'll use before I go live, before I do master classes, before I do anything really that will give me anxiety, you know? I used to have a huge fear of being seen, so I had to develop tools and techniques to sort of ground myself into my body and reconnect to my heart and my center. So this is one of the tools that I use. And we're gonna be doing some breath work where you're gonna exhale through your nose and naturally inhale through your nose as you bring your arms up and down, or you can just do your shoulders, whichever feels more comfortable for you. So it looks like that's the breath, and then you go. So we're gonna do that for a minute, and then you're just gonna follow me for the rest of it. We're gonna just slow down our breath, and I'll guide you a little bit after that. So here we go, let's get started. Hands up, and then you bring it down. Now, big deep breath in and out through your mouth. Another time. Feel free to make sound, because sound is trapped emotion and you really release it when you use your voice. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. All right, tap your body. Shake it, shake it, shake it. All right, now we're gonna take some deep breaths and we're gonna visualize a golden ball of light in our womb space. So already just after that breath, that breathing exercise, you can already notice a shift in your energy and how you feel. I always feel a little bit tingly, but you can also sense that there's space created inside you. Just breathe deeply into your womb, imagining a ball of light in your heart, in your womb space. And feel into the energy you've created, the space that you've created for yourself. Notice any shifts. And when you're ready, you can stretch your arms up, stretch, stretch, stretch. So this is something you can do anytime you're feeling anxious. I use it when I have like spiraling thoughts, because as you notice, like you feel a lot more grounded, you get into the present moment, you interrupt the patterns of spiral thinking, and you get into your body. So this is great to just start off. Any ritual that you're gonna do, I do this all the time to just clear my head. Another thing that I like to do is tune into my intuition by using oracle cards. So oracle cards are basically, there's different themes per deck. This is a goddess card deck, and there's different archetypes that you can sort of connect to and receive wisdom from. So the way that I like to do it is I like to pull one card for our intuition, our feminine side, what we need to know, and then the other card for an action to take, an aligned action. So we have a card that already came out. This is Damara, guiding. So this is about guiding, counseling, and healing. So that's fun. But let's pick two cards. What does this Glow and Grow community of women here today need to know? What do we need to know? Oh, this is literally the card I got this morning. So receptivity, Hathor, when I did my live in Oracle Sisterhood. So this is a card about receiving. So we're here, so you're all here to receive information. Keep an open heart. it says, allow yourself to receive. This will increase your intuition, energy, and ability to give to others. So this is really a give and take. It's really about understanding that in life, it's not just about giving, but you need to allow the flow of energy to move through. So you have to be open to receiving, opening to receive love. So it's about keeping your heart open. So that's really beautiful for us today. And let's see what aligned action. What message do we need to know? What action can we take to support this intention? Freya, be bold. So unleash your adventurous side, take risks and be daring. So this is really an action card. So it's perfect that we got it for the aligned action. This is about putting yourself out there, using your voice, shining your light, not being afraid to speak up, being bold, taking risks. So this is about like giving and taking. It's about being open and receiving the information and then speaking up, being bold, taking risks. So don't be afraid to ask questions, essentially. So that's amazing. And all right, let's continue. So that's awesome. We'll keep that in mind throughout this presentation. So my entrepreneurial journey, my story. So I was able to grow my Instagram to 20K without ads. And I'm sure that's one of the reasons maybe some of you were here today is to learn how to grow your Instagram. But I really want to, before getting started and talking about any of this stuff, to be really clear that the numbers aren't everything. The number, to be completely honest, like I've been losing quite a bit of followers lately. I gain a lot of followers, but I lose a lot of followers at the same time. And when this started happening, it was really when I was pivoting my business. I'll talk a little bit about my journey, but I shifted sort of what I've been doing, and it led me to lose a lot of followers. And at first I was like, oh, am I doing something wrong? We kind of feel like we might be actually doing something wrong, or, you know, is my strategy off? But at the end of the day, with all of the things that I'm going to share today, you're going to understand that when you get really specific about what you're doing, you're gonna get rid of a lot of people that aren't in alignment with you. And the key is, as long as you're authentic and in alignment, everything's good, and the number of followers doesn't matter. It's really about the quality. So I just wanted to be really straightforward about that before we even get started. So essentially, I started off as an entrepreneur in 2014. I launched an online lingerie boutique called Alice Cass. It was centered around the theme of self-love and female empowerment. And at the beginning, I didn't have a big budget to invest in ads. I was doing everything myself, and I invested everything in inventory. So I didn't really have I couldn't hire anyone to do ads or anything like that. And I thought I needed to do ads. So I kind of tried a little bit, but as you might know, Instagram loves to police women's bodies, and all my ads were rejected because it was lingerie. And I couldn't actually get any ads approved. So necessity is the mother of invention. And I decided, okay, I have to get really creative and figure out how to do this. So at first, I have a background in business and in fashion. I was a fashion buyer. I studied fashion marketing in school and business. So I was like, okay, I was obsessed with fashion. I had an aesthetic. I understood the concepts of like creating a beautiful feed. So I started off that way, and I was getting some traction here and there. And I really focused on building through community. So I was collaborating with other creatives, with other brands that had an aligned mission, and we were tagging each other, getting in front of each other's networks. So that was like the foundation of how I started growing. It was like through collaboration and through having a feed that really stood out. But like 3 years in, I really reached a plateau, and I wasn't growing anymore. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I know what's going on here, you know, because I was hiding behind my brand. It was called Alice Cass. I had an alter ego. And I wasn't showing up. I had a huge fear of being seen. I had like social anxiety, and I was like, okay, I know I have to put myself out there, but I'm not ready. But at the time, I started doing a lot of self-development work. I started really getting into spirituality and exploring it a little bit more deeply. And after looking at Instagram and realizing everyone's out there trying to be perfect, trying to pretend that their life is amazing and that everything is so easy for them, and they're attracting all these people and everything's going so well, and that there's no darkness to it. I was kind of fed up with that, and I was like, okay. One day I started writing these articles. I had all these blog posts, and I started sharing them in this series called Bed Talks on Sunday nights. And I got really vulnerable. I was it was a lingerie store, and I started talking about the things that I was going through. I was talking about imposter syndrome. I shared about my journey to sobriety, and I was sharing like all these really like intimate sort of deep things. And I kind of just jumped into that and just got over my fear and did it. And then as soon as I was sharing these stories, people really started connecting to my message and my mission. And that's when things really shifted, because it was real, it was authentic, and it really made a difference. So that was the foundation. Those were the things that really got me started. And of course, since then I've learned a lot, but that was really the basic foundation of everything. So my secret essentially was being unapologetically and authentically me, aligning my aesthetic and my strategy to my mission and my niche, and then understanding the power of community over competition. So if you were looking for a formula, there's no like step-by-step formula, because authenticity is something that you have to tune into for yourself, but it is a key ingredient. So at the end of the day, it's really about getting really clear on your message, really clear on who you're speaking to, showing up consistently, and leveraging your community, the community, your network around you, and then the community of your audience. So we're going to talk about all this right now. Oops, there's someone else coming in. All right. So in terms of the strategy that I used, and why Instagram, well, first of all, why is Instagram so important? Well, Instagram is your business card. So it's essential that you create something that really reflects your brand and that really draws people in. So first impressions do matter, but I really want to emphasize that perfection is totally overrated. It's really not about being perfect. It's about your energy more than anything, and then having that authentic and aligned content strategy. And it's really about having high quality content before you start investing in ads. And that is really the key to growth and engagement. So authentic and aligned is actually the name of my coaching program, because these are the essential ingredients to growing your Instagram. So why authenticity? What does that even mean? Showing up as yourself and owning who you are and your story makes you and your business magnetic. So when you shine your light and you speak your truth, that's what attracts people to you. And that's the feminine. The feminine is the magnetic, right? So when you're able to be yourself and shine your light, you're attracting the people that are in alignment to you. And when you're excited about what you're sharing, that energy is contagious. But just your energy in general, that's what people are craving. That's what people are coming after. It's like when you see someone being fully themselves, you're just like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I need more of that, So you're totally attracted to that. And that's what you want to just put out there and cultivate in your captions, in your videos, and everything that you're doing. You don't want to follow like a cookie cutter formula. You really want to be yourself. And in terms of your vibration, it's so crazy how this works. Like, I remember once, one of my best months where I made the most sales when I was running Alice Cash was literally after I came back from Burning Man. I had gone there. It was such an expansive week for me that I came back and I was like on such a high vibe. I had done a million workshops. So I had all these breakthroughs that week, and I came back and I was just like on another level. I was just floating, and I wasn't doing my work differently than anything, but like my sales tripled that month from doing absolutely nothing else differently than just being in a high vibration state. So just to prove to you that it really works. It's really crazy. Taking care of yourself is taking care of your business. So it's also making yourself a priority. And then at the end of the day, in terms of sales and things like that, like authenticity creates intimacy and relevancy, and that's how you build trust. So when you're real and people feel like they can trust you, that also ends up leading to sales. It ends up leading to growth, or it ends up leading to people wanting to work with you. So that's the first thing. And then alignment is really about aligning everything that you do in your business to your niche, to your mission, to the reason that you came here to do what you're here to do. So it really helps to create clarity in your audience's mind, but it's also a way for you to be really clear on what type of content to create. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you energy. You're not going to be second guessing every post, because you're going to understand like, okay, this is in alignment with my mission. I should write about this, like this is what I need to share, as opposed to kind of like, what do I talk about today? You should never run out of ideas of what to talk about, because your business is you, it's your passion, it's what you love. But if you have this clear strategy of like, okay, these are my key points, this is what I talk about, it really helps you streamline everything. And then my favorite part is going deep. You want to polarize. You don't want to please everybody. This is essential, and it's really what helps you grow, because you get people very engaged in what you're doing when you're really standing your ground and like claiming whatever it is that you believe in. For example, for a long time, when I decided that I was like, okay, I'm going to move away from the lingerie and from being a store, and I'm going to become a business coach, because I feel like I can help people a lot more with my business knowledge and my empowerment stuff, more than just as a retailer. And I shifted. And when I did that, I was like, oh, like, are people going to take me seriously if I pole dance? You know, I don't know, maybe not all of you have seen my Instagram, but I share my pole dancing videos. I love dancing. It's helped me on my journey. It's helped me heal the wounds around my femininity. It's a part of my practice and my business, because it helps me get out of my head into my body. It makes me feel confident. So for me, it's very valuable. And I started second guessing myself. I'm like, oh, should I post this? And then I was like, oh my God, like, this is exactly what I should be posting, because first of all, I do lose a ton of followers when I post pole dancing videos, but I also get so many women in real life and online, like when they see me, they're like, thank you so much for posting those, because it gave me permission to be myself and to express myself fully and to put myself out there. And ultimately, that's my mission, is to help women feel like they can be themselves and express the feminine and be successful. So what I realized that something such as pole dancing does, it polarizes, and it repels the people that are not for me, because those are not my clients. If you don't value the feminine, and you don't value, if you don't respect the fact that a woman can be fully expressed in all facets, then you're not for me and I'm not for you. Like, we can't really help each other, and there's someone else out there for you, and it's not going to be me, because I'm not going to pretend that that's something I don't believe in. And then on the other hand, it really attracts the people that are really aligned with my mission, and they're really into it, and they're really activated, and they're really loyal, and they really get what I'm here to do, and they're my people. And then I'm like, yes, I'm so excited to work with you, you know? So polarizing is key. It's really important to take a stand and to not be afraid to take a stand. You don't want to please everybody. So essentially, when you express authentically, you really do attract that which is in alignment, and that's what we're here to do. So I've been talking about the niche a little bit. So to define it, it's basically a specific segment of the population that you're here to serve, that you're here to help. And why is your niche so important? I know a lot of people have resistance to this, and they're like, well, I just want to help everyone, or I just kind of want to see who sort of like my message resonates with, and then that's who it's meant for. And like, as much as I get that, when you're marketing, it's not how you want to be marketing, because your message is going to be too diluted. When you are focusing on a specific segment of the population, you're positioning yourself as an expert. So when you're specialized, it becomes very clear in your audience's mind that if they have a specific problem, they know that you're the one to solve it. So whatever it is that you're here to solve, you have to make it very clear for people and for who it is. For example, I want you to imagine that you, God forbid, get into a car accident and you require facial reconstructive surgery, okay? So it's a really bad car accident. Would you rather go to a plastic surgeon that does boob jobs, butt implants, nose jobs, injections, kind of like everything? Or would you rather go to a plastic surgeon that specializes in reconstructive surgery for people that have been in accidents? He's a little bit more expensive, but very specialized, and this is what this person does every single day. Like, that's what they do. And you're just like, well, obviously I'm going to put my face in the hands of someone who really knows what they're doing and who specialize themselves, and they're an authority. And you're like, yeah, that's the expert. Like, this is kind of a big deal. I don't want someone who kind of knows what he's doing, but not really. And like, it's kind of for everyone. Like, that's not That's not necessarily who we're attracted to. So you kind of want to think of it in that way. You're really positioning yourself as an expert, and you're going to get people outside of your niche that are going to be attracted to your message because you're going to be so clear and authentic and in your power and very direct that they're going to be like, okay, like maybe this can help me or not, but you're really going after that specific population. And then it helps with also like competition, right? So you're not just general, you're very specific in a niche that like maybe no one else is serving. So it has a lot of benefits for your business. All right, so these are just some questions to ask yourself when you're getting started on creating your content strategy. These are questions that a lot of people skip, but they're so important. So first of all, what is the purpose of your Instagram? Like, are you using your Instagram to simply grow an audience? Do you want to be famous? Do you want to sell products? Do you want to convert people do you want to get people to sign up to your newsletter? Like whatever it is, you have to be really clear about what your intention is. Honestly, there's no wrong answers here and they can change all the time, but you got to get really clear for yourself. And once you're clear, it'll be clear for your audience as well. And that will help direct everything that you do. And then of course your niche, who are you speaking to? Who is this audience? You got to get really clear on it. And this is something that changes, and it's such a deep, like it takes so much energy to kind of find this, but it is the foundation of everything to really get clear on who your ideal client is and to really dig deep. And it's a process. And like in my program, we kind of, you know, I use cards, I use archetype cards to help like tune into your intuition and just like really have all these like questions to ask yourself to kind of go really deep in this, because it's not easy and it's the most essential thing. But once you have it, you're like, okay, yes. And a lot of the time your ideal client is very much the person that you were maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It's really all the things that you needed to do, because we go through obstacles and we go through certain things on our journey that we learn, and then it ends up being the things that we teach. So a lot of the time you deep dive into your own journey, into your own subconscious and into your own blocks, but you also have to do market research. So it's getting really clear on who you're speaking to. And then finally, before you start, you also want to think about, how do you want people to feel when they land on your page? How do you want to feel when you're creating for your Instagram? Like those two things should be aligned. If you're very stressed out on your Instagram, when you're creating, like that energy is going to be felt. So you always have to make sure your energy is on point and that you're taking care of yourself and that you're very clear about what type of vibe you want to put out there. So after this masterclass, I would love for all of you guys to check out your Instagram and see if your last 9 posts reflect these 3 questions, the answers that you came up with. And see if there's any posts that don't reflect those questions, see how you can maybe adjust. Or maybe there's things that you haven't been posting that you've been wanting to post. Ask yourself like why you're not posting them. Is it from fear of judgment? Instagram is a really great tool to kind of also see what you're going through and to sort of self-reflect and see where places you still need to heal or little blocks that you still have, you know, because it really brings up our fear of judgment and our perfectionism. And these are all things that we can still work through. So yeah, I like to use Instagram in that way as well. So a little journal assignment for you guys. So to summarize, you want to align with your soulmate client and connect to your mission, connect to your why, connect to your purpose, connect to ultimately why you're doing this, what you're here to do. Your whole Instagram strategy is, first of all, it's a content strategy, and it has to be in alignment with your why and your ideal client. And the reason for this is because it creates that consistency that you need. It reduces digital overwhelm for yourself and even for your audience. And it's how you're going to build authority and position yourself as an expert. And I know some of you might feel like you're repeating yourselves a lot on Instagram if you follow this kind of content strategy, but repetition is the mother of learning, and people need to hear things 10 times to actually act on them. So you kind of have to be a broken record, and you're not a broken record. Also, you got to keep in mind that most people don't see all of your posts. Even if they're like super fans of you, they're not going to see all your posts. Instagram only shows it to like 10% of your followers. So you gotta be out there, and you gotta keep repeating yourself, because you don't know who's going to fall on it and who's going to need it. And you got to just trust that it's landing on the right people. And don't be shy to just repeat yourself. All right. So now I wanted to share some, I'm going to check the chat box, actually, see if you guys have any messages. Yes, Aminka. Yeah, your audience is who you were probably 5 years ago, because exactly my program that I created is everything that I wish I would have had when I started off, because I had to go through all these like different, like very masculine sort of business programs and things that I was learning. And I was like, this doesn't resonate. So I created something that really like, I wish I would have had when I started. So essentially your audience is that person as well. So now we're going to talk a bit about the basics of Instagram and how to make a good first impression. So as I had mentioned, your Instagram is your business card, and people only take like 10 seconds to decide if they're going to follow you, right? So you want to make a good first impression. You want your profile pic, unless you're a product-based brand, like it really should be a photo of you, a photo of you that's on brand, that reflects your mission, that reflects your vibe, something high quality. People really want to know who's behind the brand. They want to connect to a person. So I always recommend to put a photo of yourself. And then in your bio, okay, so this is the thing that I see the most people kind of struggle with, is their bio. You want to make it very, very, very clear what problem you're here to solve and how you're here to help people. And if you can even include who you're here to serve in your bio, it's even better, so that people can like automatically recognize themselves. But whatever you do, you want to be so clear about what people can expect from you. Like, what are you going to help them with? People at the end of the day, you know, they're kind of selfish in that way. They want to know, like, how is this going to benefit me? Like, at the end of the day, we all sort of think like that. So it's really important that you make it clear and easy for people so that they can decide, okay, yeah, I need this. This is for me. And then they follow you. So after this masterclass, I want you guys to really reflect on whether your bio is reflective of what you're here to, the message you're here to put out there, the problem you're here to solve, and how you're really helping people. And then in terms of your aesthetic, I really like to emphasize that it does not have to be perfect. Like
we don't have any snow right now, but you know how it is.
Sorry, cool. I just have to mute someone. So yes, so your aesthetic, I like really love, I'm like so about like beautiful things, you know, I'm like, I have a moon in Taurus, so I'm really about like beauty and things like that. And as much as I do love that, I don't believe in it having to be perfect. You know, people sometimes they have those perfect grids and like it looks so exhausting, and to me it doesn't attract me. Maybe that's just me, but like I'm just like, oh, you kind of seem a little bit OCD, like it's a little bit calculated, like I want to see some flavor, some personality. So I'm just like, doesn't work for me. And unless they're like, okay, unless they're like closet organizers, or they have a job that has to do with being organized and they need to show off their skills of like organizational skills, I'm like, okay, cool. But otherwise, it doesn't really like activate anything inside me. I do believe in having a cohesive feed, in the sense of like having colors and fonts and symbols and images that have a certain vibe that come together to create a certain aesthetic that is recognizable as yours. So if you're making slides in Canva for your quotes, use fonts that you use like regularly, you know, a font that really reflects your brand, colors that reflect your brand, like what are you trying to evoke. You know, I put the psychology of colors here, the emotions of color, but you could get inspired by chakras. This is something we go into in my program as well. I really do think it's important to have a solid aesthetic that reflects your brand, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It just more so needs to be cohesive. And then I just wanted to quickly talk about the difference between your feed and your stories. Because as I mentioned, your feed really is your business card, and it's where you're going to build relevancy by offering value. So it's a little bit more about your soulmate client, your ideal client, but in your stories is where you really get to have fun. It's kind of your reality TV show, and that's where you're going to build trust and intimacy by showing up authentically and by connecting with your audience and by engaging with your audience and getting them to ask you questions and getting involved. You know, you can do polls and things like that. So it's a lot more interactive. So I just like to make that little distinction. Your feed, you do want it to be When people like see your page for the first time, they want to know what you're about and what you're offering as value. So it has to be a little bit clearer there. And then this is something I see a lot of people doing as well. That if they're shifting from a personal to a business Instagram, they often still make it about them and not so much about their audience. And you really have to keep in mind what's in it for them. And even in stories, or even when you're sharing, like there's something that I think is really important that I guess, you know, when you're looking at influencers a lot of the time, they kind of show their lifestyle, and it's in this vein of like, oh, look what I have. And it's very almost, it creates envy and it creates jealousy. And I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're kind of like a hybrid entrepreneur influencer, I find it more interesting and more important to sort of, it's not about dimming your light. It really is about shining your light and being your full authentic self and expressing yourself and attracting people that want to celebrate you and that you can celebrate as well. But also keeping in mind that you can do it in a way where it shows people what's possible, because you're the embodiment of what you're offering, right? Like people are buying your energy. They're buying like what your service is, but it's because it worked on you first, right? Even if it's a product, it's because you're loving it, you're passionate about it. So you're showing them what that possibility is. And when you're posting things about yourself or celebrating yourself, I find it really nice to make it inclusive and to show people like, you can have this too. It's not just like, oh, I have this, wouldn't you like it? I'm not telling you, but it's saying like, listen, like when I share about like pole dancing and like putting myself out there, you know, it's always with this kind of like, guys, I used to have social anxiety and I used to be like shit scared. I used to be disconnected from my body, but like anyone can literally do this, you know. Anyone can sort of develop this self-love and empowerment and put themselves out there and have a business, even if they're introverted, even if they're shy, you know. There's a way to do it, and you can go from point A to point B, and it's possible. So I kind of like to make a little note with that, about that. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about marketing. So spoiler alert, your content is your marketing. So I like to say this because your content really is the foundation of everything. Like if you have a budget to invest in ads and you start your business and you start investing in ads, but you haven't created a solid content strategy, like you're going to be throwing money in the wind. Because if people fall on your page and then they're just like, okay, like what is this person about? Like there's no clarity, there's no cohesiveness, I don't feel anything when I land on this page. Like there's no point, you know. You really want to create a connection with people. You want to make people feel something. You want to make it clear why they're there and how you're going to help them. So your content really is your marketing, because you have to have good marketing, good content that is shareable, that people care about, that people are activated by. So once you've got that down, then you can focus on the marketing where it has more to do with building relationships. So you've got to think long-term, and you can't look at it post for post necessarily. So this is a relationship that you're building. It's not a one-night stand. It's a soul connection. So you're investing in long-term relationships that you're nurturing. You're not going to reach 10K overnight. But if you focus on an authentic and aligned content strategy, you will attract high quality followers that are going to resonate with your message, and they're going to stick around. Like for example, I had my account taken down by Instagram. It's actually a year ago. Like now, it's exactly a year ago that Instagram took down my account. They said it was violating community guidelines. It was at a time period when they were really cracking down on like anything to do with female sexuality. But my community, like you guys, you all helped me get my account back. Like everyone was writing into Instagram. Everyone was so angry. They were like sharing. And it wasn't so much about me. It was really about the message that I was putting out there. People were like, no, like there's obviously like she stands for something, her account stands for something, and it inspires people, and there's no reason for it to be taken down. And people were really connected to the message and my mission. And that's how I ended up getting my account back. And that's the power of a content strategy that is authentic, that is aligned, that attracts people that believe in what you're doing. And it's not just like selling. You're really about the service that you're doing and about the greater mission behind what you're doing. So that's just one example, and it's about really building trust, and that's how you're going to build trust and create these meaningful connections. So Collaboration over competition. That's another thing that is like essential, I think, is to team up with people, you know, to not be afraid to team up with people that are in your industry, that have similar stuff that you're offering. Like there's room for everyone. You can team up to do giveaways. You know, there's some giveaways I've done, I've gotten like 400 followers in like 2 days. It's crazy. Like it does really help. These are like almost free essentially, and they're really great to get in front of other people's audiences that are aligned, that have a similar audience, that already trust them. And it's just really, really powerful to do things that way. You can do IG lives with other people. You do show up on be featured on their podcasts, you know, things like that. And then you always also want to remember that Instagram is a two-way street. You have to nurture your relationships. So you want to comment with sincerity on other people's posts. You obviously don't want to bullshit people and kind of just say things to say things. It has to be authentic. It has to be real. People can smell when you're like just searching for likes or like you want to follow back, you know, like none of that stuff. It has to be sincere. And you got to give with no expectation of receiving in return, and just trusting that it will come back to you. Maybe not that specific person, but you just got to get into that energetics of giving and receiving, you know, this card receptivity. The more you receive, you have to be open to receiving, but you also have to give, because it's a flow of energy. Abundance is flow. Like it's got to move. So you've got to get into the habit of giving and receiving. It's not about like, it's also about investing in yourself, investing in things. I know when I started off my business, I was like, oh, I can't spend money. I have to save here. I have to save there. And it's like, no, you got to flow. If you're holding back, you're not going to be able to receive. So you got to give to be able to receive. So that's something that I wish I had known sooner, but everything in due time. And then finally, you want to engage with people, and you could do that through your stories. You can do polls, and Instagram loves when you use their stickers and like all their stuff, like all the, oh my gosh, I lost my word. But anyways, Instagram loves when you use everything that they, wow, okay, anyways, they love the more you use their features, that's the word. When you use their features, they reward you because they're like, oh, you're using all our features. They kind of show it to more people. So even reels, if you know anything new that they pump out, and if you start using it, they'll kind of like highlight your reels and things like that. So finally, I just want to emphasize that it's progress over perfection. You do not have to be perfect. A content strategy doesn't happen overnight. This is something you do gradually. Growth happens gradually, but if you're in alignment, if you show up consistently, like it's inevitable that you will grow and you will attract the right people. Don't be afraid to test things out, to try things out and then see what feels good for you. Business anchored in the feminine is really about trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, developing your intuition. So you don't want to get caught up in perfect, because that's really what stops you. It's good to take small steps towards your goals. So if you have a fear of like showing up on Instagram and like talking, doing a live, start with stories and start small. Start with just your voice, and then the next week maybe do a video of like one slide of you talking, you know, like test things out and do it gradually, but just do it. Don't just sit around in inaction. Like it's important to do the inner work, but then you do want to take small steps, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Perfect is a trap. You know, women have this expectation of being perfect, of having to do everything perfectly. There's all these standards, but that's bullshit. That's like the patriarchal garbage that we're not about. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. That's how you learn. So trust yourself, make mistakes, don't be scared of it, and don't compare yourself. On Instagram, it's like, it's so easy to get caught up in the comparison game. I was just talking about this with Inez the other day about how when you're on your cycle and you're PMSing, you do not want to be on Instagram, because for some reason you're so sensitive and you cannot handle it. You can't, it's just not good for you. And that time of the month, you're supposed to turn in and like tune in and receive messages and downloads and like anything that wants to come through. So you allow yourself to have a break from Instagram to just receive that information. So yes, it's really about being you and being okay with being imperfect and putting yourself out there, and you're going to attract your people. And yeah, you just got to be unapologetically yourself. So thank you guys so much. I saw that there's some messages in the chat box. This is amazing. Yes, mindset is everything. It really makes a huge difference. You got to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself and your mindset first. So if you guys want to stick around, we're going to have a Q&A now. You guys can unmute yourselves when you're ready. And after that, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my program, and you're all invited to book a free 30-minute clarity call with me if you want to talk, if you want some, if you have any questions, if you want to learn more about what I do, and we could talk a little bit about your business. So I'll send you all the link for